Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
What's next for Brock Lesnar? I'm Ollie Davis. This is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to the Saturday edition of WrestleRamble, brought to you by Fight Forever, which is a new UK promotion. It's starting up early December. They're running 4 shows. Click the links in the video description below to find out more and for tickets. But they're shows like wrestling shows with the likes of Cody Rhodes, Brandy Rhodes, beat still my heart, and Jimmy Havoc and loads of other cool talent. Flip Gordon.
Yeah, big Flip.
That's pretty cool. And afterwards, they're going to have something to wrestle with podcast recordings.
Yes.
So go
I
and
believe
buy...
the show's just called Something to Wrestle.
What did I say?
Something to Wrestle With. It's Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard.
All right, pedant. And
mate, you've got to get the plug right.
So, yeah, I guess that's going to be like a 20-hour show, all in combined.
Yeah.
Knowing how much Bruce Pritchard and Conrad talk. But yes, what next for Brock Lesnar for this episode? The rather shock. It feels like a long time ago, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, a couple of people on Discord come chit-chat with us, and on Twitter have said, like, could it really be a WWE return? He's only been gone 4 weeks. And I would argue that, yes, because we all thought he'd gone. We all thought he'd literally, like, SummerSlam was his last date, and he wasn't going to come back because he's entered into the USADA testing pool for UFC. He's already they've already more or less announced that he's got his UFC match with Daniel Cormier in January next year. So he's got to go train for that, and you can't really train for that when you're wrestling in WWE. And so we all just figured that'd be it. And then lo and behold, he made his return at Hell in a Cell. And now there are reports that, Dave Meltzer was reporting in MMA Fighting, that he hasn't officially signed with UFC yet. And Mike Johnson of PW Insider has added that Lesnar is factored into all of WWE's plans, their big events, major events, I think was the word he termed, moving forwards.
That is fascinating. Like, in this age of WWE wanting to lock down all their independent contractors where they can't work for other promotions, and like WWE is the be-all and end-all for them, and they've done a horrible job in that being like a very good job of locking everyone down like that. Like, WWE is the master of all the wrestlers that work for it, really, apart from its top star.
Yes.
Which seems like an oversight.
Well, I think it's with WWE, they're quite willing to work around Lesnar's demands and the way that he wants to book himself, more or less. I mean, him and Heyman. Heyman is his real-life manager, and sort of like negotiating contracts to be like, look, dude, I make you money. You know, unlike a lot of these guys, I'm actually a draw. People will pay to come and see me. And Vince is like, yeah, that's right. Unlike a lot of the guys that I've booked into oblivion, you are actually a draw. People do pay to come and see you.
Yeah, because whatever WWE do, Lesnar has that UFC career and record that he can lean back on. Similar to what, John Cena and The Rock were already quite at that position anyway in WWE. But the people with stuff outside that they can lean on, the Bellas being another one, they've got so much more bargaining power.
So much more clout.
Than anyone else on the roster. But yes, so Brock Lesnar is there, and like you said, he's going to factor in, well, according to PW Insider, the major events for the rest of the year. He's already been announced for the Crown Jewel in Riyadh, which I looked at a picture of today because I wanted to do a Jeddah Beautiful City progressive joke. It looks like the future.
Sorry, I just hit my microphone there. I mean, I've not seen any pictures of Riyadh, but there was a comment on that video that we did on the WrestleRamble we did on Monday that made me chuckle, but for all the wrong reasons, where they said, like, oh, they're doing it in Riyadh. I hope they get to go visit the square, because that's where they do the public beheadings at 8 a.m.
Ooh. I mean, I don't think they do public beheadings.
No? That's what the comments said.
I think that's probably quite an
outdated one?
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff that could... I don't know. I'm not even going to broach into this, but
that
sounds like racism on the other end.
I apologise.
But yeah, it does look like the future. Like, it could have flying cars.
A bit like Dubai.
Yeah,
similar. When I went to Dubai for work one time, I was like, this place does feel very futuristic. You've seen like their hotels and stuff. That hotel they got, which has got the Formula One track running through it. It's craziness.
But I'm now hoping, because when I got this picture, it did say something about a Formula One, but it definitely said Riyadh. So I hope I haven't put a picture of Dubai up. Well, I'm sure that would already have blown up because we're talking about Thursday's news videos. Anyway, so you've got the Crown Jewel, which is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, which is where Lesnar has reinserted himself right into the top of the main event feud between Strowman and Reigns at Hell in a Cell. And the only other major event, really, is Evolution.
Well, obviously. Where he can appear on there and F5 everyone, come down and kick the door in, kick the glass ceiling down. And
mixed tag with Sable.
Yeah, could be. Why wasn't he part of Mixed Match Challenge with Sable? That'd have been a great partnership.
People might have watched on Facebook.
Oh, poor old Mixed Match Challenge, man. Poor old Mixed Match Challenge.
Don't give it sympathy. It's a weird, crappy, out of continuity format.
But it's not anymore because the finals are taking place at TLC. It's moving into actual continuity.
This is confusing.
Yeah, Braun Strowman's a babyface on that show by all accounts. So regardless of Evolution, on a more serious note, I speculated in my news that it could be Super Showdown, which is their other big show that they've got that's sort of in continuity, sort of not. Their other glorified house show.
That's a lot sooner, though. That's in like 2-3 weeks.
But they could do either an angle where he interferes in the six-man main event, which is the Shield versus the Dogs of War, Braun Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. Or maybe they'll just have like they'll announce a match because they're looking to, upsell those tickets that they've got. In fact, they haven't sold out the place yet, and it's quite a big place.
Oh, yeah,
massive.
Like upwards of 70,000.
Yes. So maybe they want to add Lesnar onto the card to perhaps bump up some ticket sales and just have like a 5-minute match. That's what they used to do for Madison Square Garden shows with Lesnar. They were just like, you just come in there, usually it's against the Big Show.
Or Kane.
Yeah, or someone like that. And he'll just work a 5-minute match, a couple of suplexes, an F5. Everyone leaves satisfied. I can't say happy, satisfied that they saw Brock Lesnar.
You just won the high spots.
That's
with
all you
Brock.
want. Well, that's what
An
Brock,
entrance,
yep.
Couple of suplexes, F5.
Away we go. And he goes home and like Scrooge McDuck, then dives into his massive vault of money.
Yeah.
So there's Super Showdown. We could possibly do something there. But the only other big one is Survivor Series, which is happening in November. Someone actually posted up. It was Liam, one of our website writers, posted up a list of like the big events that are happening between now and Survivor Series. And it does feel like almost every weekend or every other weekend there is a big show happening, because the other one we haven't factored into is Bound for Glory.
Oh, yeah.
So
which sold out.
Yeah, WWE have got like all these big shows happening. Impact are holding their biggest show of the year, and that just sort of falls into it. So it is like a 6-week period where we're doing big shows every weekend.
And New Japan have their something of wrestling, King of Wrestling. I can't remember what it's called now, but that's another big event that's happening. Yeah, when you say major events on the WWE calendar for 2018, it's one of the, it's definitely the Crown Jewel. It's potentially Super Showdown. I think that's a smart idea. You don't just want to have him, because you can't sell any tickets for an unannounced run-in.
Exactly.
But yeah, have him in a squash match.
Yeah.
Nice exhibition thing. And then Survivor Series, because I doubt he's going to turn up for, it's usually Clash of Champions, isn't it?
Is it
in
TLC?
December. I think they changed the order of the pay-per-views around.
They did, but I'm almost certain it's TLC.
Or did they drop TLC?
No, it is TLC, because that's what they've announced that the Mixed Match Challenge final will be at.
Right, okay. Well, that's good. We get to sing.
I'll
get to sing No Scrubs again.
I'll Google things live on air, and I'll just double check that quickly.
We should do Waterfall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we were going to do Waterfall last year.
But it
was too complicated because we were going to do the rap.
Yeah, that's the Lisa Left Eye Lopez rap.
That's right. Yeah,
the one that's lyrically complex.
The one that's seen in We're the Millers.
That great cultural touchstone.
It's a great film.
It's not a great film.
It is. Behave.
It's a really passable movie.
Sometimes that's all you want from Jason Sudeikis comedy. Jennifer Aniston's really funny in it. So is Will Poulter, actually.
There's a couple of great scenes. Will Poulter's really good in that movie. It's. Let's say he's not going to appear at TLC.
It is TLC. It's 2 days after my birthday.
Let's say he's not going to appear at TLC.
No.
Although he could do. I feel like it's... So Survivor Series. Do they keep Lesnar in the mix of the Strowman and Reigns? Do you have like a Strowman versus Brock match? Brock might put him over this time.
Could be.
Or do you have another Reigns versus Brock match? That's not one that I'm interested in. Last year, we got a kind of exhibition match for Survivor Series with AJ Styles versus Brock. It was the Universal Champion versus the WWE Champion.
Could have been Brock versus Jinder. The match we could have had.
Wow. Yeah, talk about alternate timelines. Great alternate timelines. But
The greatest alternate timeline.
usually, around this time, as soon as SummerSlam finishes, you start to get leaked reports for Survivor Series, planned directions, but WWE have so many weird shows of varying significances coming up that I don't think WWE even know what they're majorly doing for Survivor Series. The only one that keeps on getting flouted, and that's because everyone just says it for every WrestleMania or Survivor Series, is the WWE 4 Horsewomen versus MMA 4 Horsewomen, which I don't think is going to happen anyway, because Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke have only just started wrestling.
Yes, well, the Marina Shafir's had very good reports, and apparently Dave Meltzer said that the word is that Jessamine Duke is going to end up being the best of the 4.
Yeah.
Apparently she's absolutely fantastic.
That's
like
crazy,
her opening match she had, her first match she had on NXT in a house show, apparently went down an absolute storm, and it was really, really good. So
but that was only a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
So whether
Yeah, it
she's
was about a
ready
month
for
ago,
a
yeah.
Survivor Series main event.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a Survivor Series. Like, they're not Survivor Series ready. But the only other match that I suppose has been kind of talked about, or like speculated, not rumoured, but certainly speculated, is Team Angle versus Team Corbin. Which makes sense because Angle's off on this vacation, big air quotes.
I've already forgotten about it. How depressing is that?
Well, that's because they forgot to keep that plate spinning. They literally let it fall off.
Yeah.
So they could do like Kurt Angle's
a Greek
return.
wedding.
Yeah. And with either their, with both of their jobs on the line, so either Corbin wins and becomes the permanent Raw general manager, or Angle gets his job back.
Or in the spirit of Survivor Series, Triple H just wins. By the way.
Oh man, I hope that happens again.
Yeah.
But do we want to talk about the?
Yeah, we should.
It literally is an elephant in the room.
We've just been joined by the house band. There's some loud drummers. I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but we are, of course, still in this temporary studio.
Yeah, apologies for the lights. It's been a really gloomy morning here. It was even raining when I got off the tube. As soon as we pressed record to do the WrestleRamble, the sun came out through the skylight.
Because the sun blesses the ramble. It's not going to get to see it for much longer because we will be in a room with no natural light.
Lovely stuff. Hey!
Back like my teenage years once again. Close the curtains. But you need
I'm trying to play Final Fantasy VII.
You need some air in here, Ollie. No, I don't.
It's more effective when I play Resident Evil 2 when I've got all the lights off.
Yeah.
But actually, let's talk about the topic at hand for Survivor Series. Could Brock Lesnar have a match? And if he does, who would it be against?
Well, there is no way that he's getting picked for a team match.
No.
And nor should he. It'd be diluted.
Really, he should team with R-Truth, like my classic fantasy booking warfare scenario I did way back when.
I can't believe you brought that up. There's that we both kind of came to this independently, and it's particularly timely because of comments Lashley made this week that back in January. So I think Bobby Lashley agreed terms for his release from Impact mid-January, and around that time, Dave Meltzer was reporting Lashley is telling people close to him that he will go to WWE and start a feud with Brock Lesnar, which will culminate at SummerSlam. And that was what numerous sites reported. But WWE changed their plans. They decided to keep the belt on Brock Lesnar, and they extended out that Roman Reigns feud. And Lesnar didn't appear on WWE TV until like July.
Yeah.
So Lashley, although Lashley still debuted on the Raw after Mania, not debuted but returned, there was like a month and a half of him having nothing to do. All he was doing was tag matches with Braun Strowman, where he would just set up Strowman's hot tag. And then they were like, okay, let's try something else with Lashley, because the crowd are not reacting to his delayed suplex. He never hits that delayed suplex anymore. So they went for the Sami Zayn feud and that awful Bobby Lashley's sisters segment, that interview where he's like, I just want to say one more thing. I love my family. And then he has like some stuff with Elias, never really going anywhere. It's only now that he started to find something, and that's the my man sarcastic Lashley, and now pairing with Lio Rush. Still very early days, but very promising. And this week he did an interview where he said that he's not just bummed out he hasn't faced Lesnar yet. he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Which is very strong words. Of course, this is pro wrestling. It could all just be to work into an angle. But if that is true, that Lashley was promised a Lesnar feud and that hasn't happened, I'd be quite annoyed.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly lends credence to Meltzer and all those other reports that it was meant to be Lashley-Lesnar at SummerSlam. Because by all accounts, that's why Lashley signed the deal, was the part of that was that he would then, that they would have the big match at SummerSlam. And then in this interview, he has essentially said, and I'm kind of pissed off that didn't happen. And I would, yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with you and with Ashley. I would be too. Like, you left Impact Wrestling where you were like the top guy there. You were like in the mix for the title all the time. You were always featured on TV. Not only that, you were pushed as walking Armageddon.
Great gimmick.
As this MMA fighter, this mixed martial arts, and you had your team, America Top Team with you. He was a really big featured star there, and he left that behind to go to WWE because he wanted this match with Lesnar. And yeah, what they've done is that is awful. Like, what they've done with him is very, very bad.
Yeah.
And like a lot of their, in fact, pretty much all of their NXT call-ups after WrestleMania, it's like they did it and then we're like, now what do we do? Like, I always come back to that Triple H quote where he said this on a conference call with lots of major news sites. We would never call anyone up from NXT unless we had 6 months worth of plans for them. And that clearly has gone way out of the window now, and it's just we just call them up willy-nilly with zero plan whatsoever.
You can have plans for them, but when your father-in-law goes, no, we're going to keep the title on Brock.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, now those 6 months of plans can't work.
Yeah, we'll just put those 6 months of plans on hold. Although we were talking about this the other day, we forgot about this. But it felt like that the rumour was they were going to do 3 Money in the Bank ladder matches this year. It was going to be men's, women's, and tag team. And that's why all these tag teams all of a sudden got called up from NXT. And then that match was scrapped, and all those tag teams then had nothing to do. And that's when Authors of Pain disappeared off TV. That's when Sanity just were not debuting on TV for weeks on end. So, very interesting. But so back to the Lashley thing. I could certainly see them going with finally giving Lashley that match and just be saying, like, we can do it at SummerSlam, but we'll do it at Survivor Series instead.
It's a nice one that you don't really need much build to. You can just go, this guy's an MMA guy, this guy's an MMA guy. Neither have fought each other in wrestling. Neither have fought each other in the octagon. It's happening.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty cool thing. Like, that's something that would bring in mainstream interest.
And you've got also the added bonus of that, Hype Man versus Hype Man, Heyman versus Leo Rush.
Yes.
Great stuff in the ring between the mic.
That's what I was going to point out too. Like, I would definitely position Lesnar and Heyman as the heels here. I really think Rush, although he's been positioned as a bit obnoxious, an obnoxious character, I think he's like, there's something quite endearingly babyface about their relationship and just the way Bobby saved Rush and they used each other when they were running away and attacking Kevin Owens and Elias this week. So yeah, I think this is, that's what I would like to see, just a one-off special attraction match between Lesnar and Lashley. The only downside there, really, is I imagine I can't see Lesnar not winning that match. And then if he is going to go off to face Cormier or John Jones, given the recent... so what's happened there? He's just, that 4-year suspension has just been... Dropped
Is that what it is? I mean, I'm not au fait with a lot of the UFC ins and outs. I saw Brian Alvarez talking about it on Twitter, but I didn't look into it much further than I saw Brian was a bit annoyed by it.
A bit annoyed.
I mean, he did call it straight up BS.
Yeah. He's quite peeved. If Bobby Lashley is pissed off, this is,
it's the next level up.
A few levels up.
Yeah. Apparently he was also very angry about the Becky Lynch-Charlotte segment on this week's SmackDown, but I've not heard why.
So Brock would be returning to the UFC for January for at least 2 fights. You got to think, one for Cormier and one for John Jones. And then, like, whether he gets factored back in for WrestleMania. He's in a remarkable position, the way he can play these two companies who just so happen to be absolutely flush with cash based on their TV deals recently.
Well, not only that, but Crown Jewel, like the deal they had, like, by all accounts, WWE made $45 million from Greatest Royal Rumble. So that's a lot of money to be made, because that is a lot.
Sorry, women. Vince
McMahon diving into his different pile of cash to Brock Lesnar. They said you just call each other from their like money bins, be like, "How big's yours?" The money I'm talking about, allegedly.
Well, yeah, should we go with some crap gimmicks on that note?
Probably better add. If you're new to this show and you're wondering to yourself, what the heckins is a crap gimmick? It's a segment we do here on every Saturday episode of the WrestleRamble where you, the SWAF Nation, send in your suggestions for crap gimmick wrestling. And if we like it, we will sign usually one a week, but sometimes not if we don't like any of the submissions. And if you want to send in your submission, it's luke@wrestletalk.com. That's luke@wrestletalk.com. One more time, luke@wrestletalk.com. Do have a massive backlog. We're currently at the start of July, so if you sent yours in August, it's going to be a little while before we get there, and there's still I think there's 250 in my inbox.
2 months behind.
Yeah, massively 2 months behind, but we only get through about 3 a week. However, this week we're going to have 4 because we're starting off with something that's a bit different. If you're wondering, well, what is a crap gimmick? We like to compare it to WWE in the 90s, you are a wrestler and a blank, or if it's just crap nonsense but still works within a wrestling so it's up to interpretation. Well,
go and check out some past submissions to figure out what the heckins is going on.
Exactly, yeah. But we have got something slightly different to kick things off this week. This is from Eric Finkbeiner from Germany. Have you ever noticed how many wrestling matches are marketed as high-stake matches? Well, how about a high-stakes match? That's right, Eric has sent in a match type, a gimmick match type for crap gimmick wrestling.
Okay. So this will be a mode on crap gimmick 2K19.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The rules are as follows. It's similar to a TLC match, but instead of a championship or a briefcase, there are plates of stakes hanging above the ring.
Nice.
The number of stakes varies depending on the number of competitors in the match. For a one-on-one match, there's 2 stakes. For a triple threat, it's 3, etc. The first competitor to climb up the ladder, retrieve a stake, and fully eat it is declared the winner. The table and chairs are placed around the ring so the competitors who have retrieved one of the stakes can sit down and enjoy their meal. I think it would be a good addition to your food division, and it could even end heated rivalries or even multi-man title matches.
Oh, that's great!
The high-stakes match. Particularly, that works for the Intercontinental Breakfast as well.
Yes! That's the ultimate payoff to a blood feud.
It's the heist.
It's a real bloody medium rare steak as well.
Well, Brock Lesnar certainly can't go there. No, he likes his steaks well done, the big meanie.
That's the heel move. He'll take it down, whack it in a George Foreman grill at ringside.
And ruin it.
Oh, I like that. I've never really thought of the idea of a table and chairs at ringside not being used as weapons.
Yeah.
But just to sit down and eat something.
I can imagine because you could do a spot where someone goes to powerbomb someone through a table and then realises, I can't smash the table because I need to sit at that, and then just move them to the side and powerbomb them on the floor instead.
So okay. 2 things. Why did there need to be multiple stakes?
That I don't understand. Yep.
Because
there's multiple stakes, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess if there's 3 people in the ring in this match, and this allows each person to get a steak and eat it. So you don't win the match by getting the steak. You win the match by consuming the steak.
Yeah.
I think it should, and this plays into my second point, I think it should be just 1 steak. And if you get it down, you've got to incapacitate your opponents long enough for you to then consume the steak. So you could be halfway through eating the steak, but then someone will attack you, take that steak, and eat the rest of it. They win the match, not you.
Yeah.
It's like the ladder. So you can be going... That's where they're suspended above the ring, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, it takes a long time to get up the ladder usually. Just make that part quicker.
Yeah.
And then grab it.
I was going to say, instead you build the suspension around them, slowly cutting up the steak, slowly lifting it up to their mouth. That's where you draw out the drama.
This is great. Well, that's definitely... we will definitely sign that. I don't...
Yeah. We'll add it to the game mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And first submission for crap gimmick wrestling in terms of wrestlers, however, comes from Jumping the Smark, sent to us on July 8th.
That's a great name.
Jumping the Smark is a great name. He has sent us a couple in before. He's a very funny lad. This wrestler's name is Colton Darby, and he thinks he is a horse. He comes to the ring in a horse mask, and he has a manager dressed as a horseback rider. I'd imagine means a jockey. Cuts promos for him because his voice is always too hoarse. He starts out in developmental, but he is constantly trying to get to the main roster. He wins a few titles, but he can never keep them because he has short reigns. His signature move is the Haymaker and his finisher is the Bronco Buster. He also eats carrots mid-match and will hulk up like Popeye's spinach. He may turn heel at some point, but his manager will defend it by saying it was a spur-of-the-moment decision. His rivals may insult him with lines such as, "Why the long face?" or call him a little jabroni. After the ring announcer says "one fall," his manager grabs the mic and corrects him to "one foal."
Oh, wow. That's punerific.
It is punamania around here.
So initially I was like, I don't know if I like this idea. But then I started to visualize it, and there is something inherently brilliant about that horse mask.
That's why Tomska's got so many YouTube subscribers.
So if you were to create this as sort of a luchador gimmick
Yep.
with a masked, a horse mask. So not that he is a horse or that he thinks he's a horse, because that's just, I don't find that funny. But if he is a El Horsio, the horse mask wearing luchador, and just everything around him is framed in horse puns, I think that's a lot stronger for me.
I agree. Next up from, he didn't leave your name, but I believe it's 01, but it's, I don't think that's your real name. As your next signee, it's a bit presumptuous, for the crap gimmick roster is Nacho Man Rodney Carriage. He is a face with great charisma and fairly flamboyant. He wears big yellow glasses in the shape of tortilla chips and a robe with what looks like flowing cheese, with trunks that just say cheese, with him smiling big on it. His signature moves include the top rope elbow drop that he calls the jalapeno driver and the Nacho Supreme, which is a jumping pile driver. A big part of his gimmick is that anyone in the front row that has nachos, he takes one. With permission, he is a babyface and lets said fan take a selfie with him and the nachos, which he always reminds them to say cheese. When asked about his obvious rip-off of Macho Man Randy Savage, he pretends not to know and yells his catchphrase, "Yeah, buddy," but he sounds like an awesome dude. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and I hope Nacho Man gets signed. Yeah, buddy.
I like Nacho Man. That's something that you've seen Macho Man's name, Randy Savage, and gone, Nacho Man.
Yep.
Okay, that's my in. And you've worked backwards from that. I appreciate that. I think that's objectively funny, fits really nicely in the Intercontinental Breakfast Championship division.
And I can already visualize the trading cards. Artman Lou, as I call him, Lewis Tillett at Lewis Tillett Art on Instagram. Go check out the drawings, the trading cards that he has done for crap gimmick wrestlers. They're really, really awesome. So I can certainly see Nacho Man, Rodney Carriage as one of those. Rodney Carriage isn't that good a name. Just call him the Nacho Man. The Nacho Man's great though. Yeah. Like the sort of. This is what Jay Lethal should have been in TNA. Yeah, I'd have taken out the "yeah, buddy" bit as well, and people saying like, "Aren't you a bit of a rip-off of Macho Man?" I'd have just keeping it as just the Nacho Man. Yeah, you don't even want to bring up the fact that there's a Macho Man thing out there. Yeah. But the horse adore. Well, we got one more. We've got one more, yes, and this one may change your mind. Because this is a strong week. Because George McCall sent this on July 11th, and I'll be honest with you, George, you have done a great job in targeting me specifically and what I like. So this says... Ghostbusters. Is it Ghostbusters? Hi, Luke. Hope you're having a good day. My idea is named Kaiju. He is a wrestler who dresses up in a cheap-looking rubber monster costume similar to the old Godzilla movies and the new ones, or the villains from Power Rangers. This is already very good. Wait for this. For his matches, his opponents always come down to the ring first. The reason for this will be explained shortly. As Kaiju is making his entrance, every light in the arena is turned off apart from a single spotlight which focuses on Kaiju, meaning only the crowd can see him. According to the ring announcer, his hometown is the hubris of science, and he is billed as being 350 feet tall and weighing in at over 300 tons. When Kaiju reaches the ring, the lights in the arena come back up to reveal Kaiju's opponent is no longer in the ring, and in his place is an action figure wearing a mini version of that wrestler's attire, and the ring will be filled with cardboard buildings which Kaiju can smash his opponent with. The commentary team will play this 100% seriously and really put over how brave the opponent is for taking on a literal monster. His finish is slamming a building on top of his opponent and then doing a diving elbow through both of them. I imagine most of kaiju matches would be one-sided squashes, but if Kota Ibushi can have surprisingly even matches with an inflatable sex doll and other inanimate objects, I don't see why kaiju couldn't occasionally put on a compelling match with an action figure when you really want to build up a baby face. When kaiju wins a match, he leaves the ring the same way he entered, with all the lights going out until he is left. This should allow the babyface to secretly climb back in the ring, so when the lights come back up, he can climb out of the cardboard rubble and struggle to his feet as the crowd hopefully cheer his guts and determination.
That is inspired.
Such a great one. That's a great idea.
That's so good. I'm just going to add a few bits. So when he comes out and you've just got the spotlight, the Titantron, so those LED screens behind him, should have like the outline of a city down very low. Maybe not just the spotlight, but also a few tinier spotlights to imply that there are planes and helicopters flying around him, a couple of choppers, but a sort of Samoa Joe entrance music.
Absolutely, yeah, which is a play on Godzilla.
Yeah, and also those that's similar to the horse mask. There's also those brilliant T-Rex costumes. Yes. That's what he should be wearing, but in a more Godzilla style.
I was going to say, I like the idea of it being a very obvious rubber costume. And I love the ideas of the commentators playing it very seriously, and being like, what destruction we're seeing.
Oh, and you build it up as so much of a monster. But this is great. This is such a good gimmick. He has to be it's Kota Ibushi. Before you even mentioned Ibushi, I was like, it's got to be Kota Ibushi wrestling these matches, and it's got to be like an action figure with a lot of articulation points. Oh yeah,
that's good. Yeah, that's be a good action figure. Yeah.
But the sight of a Kota Ibushi dressed up as this kaiju doing Canadian destroyers on stuff. There's that spot where Ibushi does all the Canadian destroyers on the doll.
Yeah,
like that kind of thing.
Oh, that'd be great. I mean, as I said, if you really want to get inducted into Crap Game Wrestling, get signed, you've got to appeal to the things that we like.
But this is what you like. But that's just objectively awesome.
But you do like Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But this really appeals to me. This appeals to my Godzilla-loving sensibilities.
That was a hell of a strong week.
Yeah.
It's got to be kaiju.
It's got to be kaiju, right?
Yep, definitely. And just think of kaiju in a high-stakes match. You won't even have to climb the ladder. It'll be down.
I was going to say,
it'll be
right
tiny
in the
stake. Yes. I think we should end the channel now. I don't know how we can ever top kaiju.
I was going to say, you may as well end the show there.
Fast track that with Tillett.
Yeah.
He needs to make that design now.
I was going to say, because I believe when I last spoke to him, he was working on the Adventure Party and El Limon 2. Maybe he needs to get to work on kaiju. That needs to be fast-tracked. So if you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you have to do is become one of our awesome pledges. Sorry.
He's got to be a shiny. Kaiju is our only shiny trading card.
That was amazing.
Sorry, carry on.
If you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you have to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers over on Patreon at any dollar amount, and you could submit a question via the community that we've got over there. Remember, you can come chit-chat us on Discord, and you get a special colour if you are one of our pledge hammers over on our Discord channel, so you get to look pretty awesome. Our Pledge Hammer community is doing very, very well at the moment. We are so close to our NXT goal. We're about 35-ish off at the moment, so we're very close to getting weekly NXT reviews. So head on over and make that happen, because me and Laurie really want to do them. But our first question was meant to be done last week, but we didn't quite get to it. Comes in from Tal Schulmiller. What are some backstage comedy skits you would like to see? For me, it would be Elias giving Kyle O'Reilly guitar lessons. Now, you've got...
I've made a few here.
And I already love this first one you've got here. This is genius.
Okay, so Baron Corbin, he is the he's the GM of Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I think this should transition, because I've got no real interest seeing him as in the mix with the Universal title, and he is a bit of a comedy figure now.
The Raw audience agrees with you.
Yeah, quite wholeheartedly. And I think he should start doing Judge Judy-like skits backstage, where he settles the more flippant undercard feuds with Wrestler's Court, but call it Corbin's Court.
I was going to say, it's essentially taking the idea of Wrestler's Court, which is a real thing. I'm not sure if it still is, but it certainly was a real thing back in the day. Undertaker was the judge. I think Bradshaw was one of the bailiffs. And this was a genuine thing, and this is how wrestlers worked out their disputes. If a wrestler said they didn't pay petrol money our rental car, they would have wrestlers court and both would have to argue their cases. And usually the person who lost would have to buy a case of beer for the person who won. But you actually want to turn this into a storyline, a character, which I love, I think is great. And this is how you settle Authors of Pain versus Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, so there are a few things that are necessary for this. Number one, a gavel.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be Baron Corbin's new... Like, that's a whole gimmick. Order! And a wig. So I'm thinking an English-style judge.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Oh, he's already called Baron. That's kind of English.
Yep.
So, yeah, Baron Corbin. Stick him in some comedy stuff.
I love it. I love it. I would certainly sign that. I would write it.
I've also got more fashion files. Fandango's injured. He can't wrestle. So make use of the guy. He's one of the most naturally funny performers you've got on the roster. That's not stopping him from doing backstage skits with people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He could, Corbin could employ the fashion police to do these things.
Oh, this is getting even better.
I know, you can build a whole backstage universe there, make Raw fun.
Yeah, but it's moved on to WWE.com, wasn't it, Fashion Files?
I'm saying, bring it onto the main channel.
Move it back.
And my last one was having, because you're not doing anything with them, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, just have them hanging out backstage like the APA.
Yeah.
Obviously a different version of the APA, but just sitting around backstage, play off their real life Good Brothers personas, and have them occasionally be cool baby faces and stand up against bullies.
I agree. I'm fully behind that. If only because it gives the Good Brothers something to do, which they've not had. And can you imagine that? Like when we did the Superstar Shake-Up episode, we were like, the Good Brothers gone across to SmackDown. That's brilliant for them because there's so much they can do over there in such a stacked tag team division. AJ's over there as well. You can reunite the club. There's so much you can do. We are more than 6 months into this now, and they've done sweet FA with it.
Yeah,
it's unreal. Craig Roberts has sent in to ask, I meant to send this last week but forgot, but did you, Laurie and Ollie, have WrestleManiacon? Did you get the warm Mancunian hospitality us Mancunians are known for? Because Manchester is by far the best city in the world. Would you consider upping sticks and relocate up here? Love the podcast and YouTube videos a lot. That's from Craig Roberts.
It was very cold.
That was your first thought.
It was very cold.
The old adage of it's cold up north. You thought that was a genuine thing.
It is. No, it is cold.
It wasn't that cold.
It was cold.
It bloody wasn't.
It was really hot down in London. It was like 25 degrees.
It was more or less the same in Manchester.
And it was raining.
Yeah, it's fine.
You're letting your love of the North get in the way of facts.
That's because the North's the best.
Okay.
That's a fact. The north of England is so much better.
I'm not going to sit here and even defend the South because I do not subscribe to blind allegiances to locations. It's a ridiculous idea.
I don't swear allegiances either. It's a fact that the North is better. But I wouldn't say that Manchester is the greatest city in the world because Liverpool is.
So, again, this is just meaningless nonsense.
But we did have a nice time.
We had a lovely time. We didn't really get to see Manchester, though. My favourite bit was when we were having breakfast one morning. Laurie picked a table where we could see outside. There was a nice window. And just sitting right in the middle of our view on the pavement was an abandoned pram. There are a few things creepier than an abandoned pram at 9 a.m.
While you're eating scrambled eggs.
Yeah. Next to Dave Meltzer, who was just behind me. And I was like,
it's Big
I want
Dave.
to touch him.
Sawyer has sent an email, and this is now Sawyer did say that he sent this before he watched the WrestleRamble, so we kind of already have discussed this episode slightly. I don't think it's a problem that Todd Phillips and Byron Saxton are treating Becky Lynch like a heel. Consider the star Becky is recently being most compared to Stone Cold Steve Austin, arguably history's most over babyface, who was famous for being rude, crude, disrespectful, profanity spouting renegade. I seem to recall Jim Ross, the face to Jerry Lawler's heel, frequently disapproving of Stone Cold's actions and behaviour, which made sense given JR's character, but it didn't take away from the babyface push Austin got. Now, I completely disagree with that because JR was 100% behind the things that Austin did. That's where Austin comes from, because JR loved Austin and everything that he did.
Yeah, it was a storyline that they were really good friends and they would hang out together outside of Raw, and that, like, I even got annoyed with JR at some points because Austin would do heelish things that the heel had just done, and JR would be like, that's, the dastardly when the heel does it, but when Austin does it, he's getting his revenge. And I think, you're too on Austin's side, JR.
Yeah, but I think it really worked because even if JR might have said, like, Austin's crossed a line here or he's done this now, you had Jerry Lawler there as the out-and-out heel being like, Austin's the worst. I hope he loses the WWF Championship because do you know who's brilliant? Vince McMahon. And whoever Vince has picked to be the next contender. Kurt Angle, he's the best. Oh, Triple H, he's the best.
There are three things Jerry Lawler likes. Vince McMahon.
Yep.
And puppies.
And Kurt Angle.
Well, there's two things there for the puppies.
Okay. The so-called, Sawyer continues, the so-called good guy commentators wagging their fingers at badass babyface doesn't have to necessarily mean we, the audience, are supposed to interpret that person as bad. Are Todd and Byron supposed to cheer Becky's ambushes or her calling Charlotte a bitch? That would be even more out of character. This criticism feel like it's reading too much into the commentary and missing the forest for the trees. Don't work yourselves into a shoot. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the commentators that are, like, the company are essentially telling you that she is the heel, but the audience are not saying that. And to me, when I watch it, I'm like, no, because Becky seems justified in her actions. Charlotte did steal her spotlight at SummerSlam. She could have said, no, taken a step back and be like, no, Becky's already got the one-on-one match with Carmella, and I'll have a title match with Becky once she wins the belt. But no, Charlotte inserted herself into the match and then stole the title from her.
I've been thinking about this a lot. I think that what it all comes down to is Charlotte, as a wrestling persona, is naturally unlikable. She's got the prestige of the father, who was a great heel himself. She walks around calling herself the queen. It's just very in your face and, not that likable. Whereas Becky Lynch is plucky, underdog, and all that. Because all the stuff I've been saying, yeah, but Becky, she wants the title more than anything to sacrifice her friendship. Isn't that exactly what Charlotte did? She wants the title more than anything, so she got that match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So actually, overall, they're kind of equal morality-wise. But at the end of the day, you've got to go with who the crowd are getting behind and lean into that as opposed to kind of go on the defensive. The problem with the commentary is that it's part of that bending away stance that WWE are taking on Becky. So that's probably why we're taking it like that. But I do agree that the commentary is a very superficial part of what's wrong with this presentation.
Yeah, we're not criticising the commentators, we're criticising what they're essentially told to say in the kind of the presentation, which is unfortunate. And actually someone else brought this up in the YouTube comments, and it might have been on Twitter or something like that, I can't quite remember where it was, about how we are sort of talking about how Becky Lynch is a badass, but she's still very much a babyface in our eyes. But when Roman does it, you would say that he is very much acting like a heel.
Yeah. It all comes down to who you like and don't like. I don't like Roman's character.
But I'd say that
as a face, but I do like Becky's.
Because I wasn't here for this, but the point I think they might have been talking about was when he stopped Braun from cashing in Money in the Bank with the Shield.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, that does feel like a heel. That's not a badass move. That's a heel tactic. He stopped the babyface Braun Strowman from cashing in by having his mates beat him up.
Yeah, so I said at the time, I didn't say that was a full heel turn, although the title might have said heel. I said it was a tweener turn, and I think that's a really cool way to frame the Shield as this bunch of guys who want all the gold. You got the IC champ, you could have had the tag champions, so they're just going to run roughshod over Raw as this faction. And yeah, they're doing it because they're babyfaces, but their tactics are quite heelish. The problem is when they got away from that. They started presenting Shield like out-and-out baby faces and Strowman as this awkwardly contrived, backwards compatible heel just because of Roman, when really Strowman should be a face and Shield should be tweeners. So that's also different, I'd argue.
I would agree. Jared Genghis Conister has emailed or messaged us on Patreon to ask, what has been your favourite promo of all time? Now, I would like to preface this by saying you can't say the pipe bomb. Because that's the obvious answer, really, isn't it? And we all know that's the answer. There could be
We
different.
get this question so much.
I-
Give you a different answer every time, then.
There could be different categories like comedic, serious, or sad. A sleeper hit for me was the recently mentioned Ric Flair Jay Lethal promo on TNA. Absolutely hilarious. I also cannot remove from the shadows of my mind Joe's promo after he pulled AJ off stage and put him to sleep, saying, "Daddy's already gone home at night. Never has night been so intimidating." So, what is your answer to this?
Well, for serious, because I'm not allowed to say CM Punk's pipe bomb promo anymore, I'm gonna go. Can I have two for serious and sad?
You can do,
like
of course
merge them. So Paul Heyman at One Night Stand,
Yes, what a great promo.
which is kind
Matt
of serious.
freaking Hardy.
Yeah, I've got two words for you, Edge. Matt freaking Hardy. That's three.
No, it's Edge doing the V1 sign, going like, "That's three.
It's so good, all of it.
Such a great show.
And the only reason you're champion, JBL, is because
Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. That's how good that promo is. I remember it. Well, I know we just reviewed it for WrestleRamble Extra, but even then, you can almost remember it word for word.
Well, that's one I'll just pop on and watch sometimes.
Yeah.
Serious and sad combo 2 is Mark Henry's fake retirement speech.
What a great promo.
The infamous salmon suit promo on John Cena, because that was sad and serious for a while. But you think that's how I go out? And my comedic, we rewatched a bit of it earlier.
I forgot how funny this was.
Just because I wanted to remind myself of a few bits. Was around 2011 or 2010, tea time with Santino and Kozlov and Sheamus as their guest in, I think it was in Manchester.
It was certainly in England. Because the crowd started chanting for Kozlov, and you can hear one of the commentators go like, "Only in Great Britain would he get a chance."
Santino's comedic performance is brilliant. Kozlov is amazing here.
He's the shining star of that segment. He's so good.
This is the highlight of Kozlov's WWE career. And Sheamus he corpse or breaks, they call it in America. He corpses a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just very, very funny. Santino keeps accidentally calling Sheamus pale and ginger. Do you want your tea milky?
No.
It's just it's brilliant.
It's very good. Certainly for serious on mine, like my favorite, and it's not a one promo in particular. It's a series of promos. It was from Ring of Honor. It was the Raven CM Punk feud. And how like they were both just tying into both like each other's personal lives, and it was just some of the best promo work that CM Punk has ever done. And I think Raven is like one of the greatest promos of all time. And the two of them worked so well together. And CM Punk would do a lot of his promos like walking through the crowd, like with the cameraman and stuff. The crowd are cheering behind him. It's just absolutely amazing stuff. And it might just be because Raven's the best, but CM Punk is also he's one of the greatest of all time as well, and it's really, really great.
Have you seen Raven has checked himself into the Accountability Lodge, whatever DDP calls it?
I have not.
I saw it this morning. I didn't watch it, but it was like the first episode of a YouTube series.
Oh, wow, really?
Like about rebuilding Raven or something.
Oh, cool.
So there's your
that's
weekend viewing
that's
sorted.
What I'll be doing this afternoon then. And certainly for sad promos is Daniel Bryan's retirement. Very, very sad one. We've got time for just one more. This is from That Guy Who Want to Support. Hello guys, who do you think are the best tag teams or who do you think is the best tag team on the main roster or NXT or outside of WWE? Keep doing great work, love and support.
So I've got on the main roster, I looked through and New Day are great, but I'm a bit annoyed by them at the moment. I feel like they've been a bit obnoxious. The Usos, haven't heard from them for a while.
Yep. The Usos, who I would have said were for mine on the main roster.
Yeah. The Bar, they've kind of been lost in the shuffle. Rusev Day are broken up. Nothing's really going on Raw. So I've got to say the Shield.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose.
But not only that, but you got to look at the history with the Shield as well. Like the amazing tag matches they had back in the day.
Well, that was Rollins and Reigns, that combo, wasn't it?
But I suppose. Yeah,
that was. But those as well. But I'm talking about at the moment the Ambrose Rollins combination. They killed it last year.
Yeah, last year, man.
And I thought their SummerSlam match was the Hell in a Cell match was superb.
Yeah.
For NXT, I've gone for Mustache Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're always the bits I enjoy the most. I know Undisputed Era are a big part of that, but got to support the boys from Dudley. And, of course, outside WWE, the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not say the Young Bucks, really. I think I'd agree with you on the main roster. I would struggle. I'd probably say the Usos, but that's more for, like,
When you say ring camp.
Well, I was getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
That's why I said on the main roster.
Sorry, I thought you said agree with the Bucks.
No, I would agree with the Bucks, but on the main roster, I would say that NXT. Mustache Man. There's so many great tag teams in NXT, but like I've always got to give a shout out to my boys, Street Profits. I love Street Profits, man. They're so good. I think they're awesome. And the Undisputed Era, obviously. And who can not love Heavy Machinery? Otis Dozovich is such a great character. But yeah, certainly outside of WWE, Ring Camp, massive marks for Ring Camp. Love Timothy Thatcher, love Walter. I just think they're absolutely awesome. Also, a massive fan of Australian Open. They've become one of my favourite tag teams. I've seen them quite a few times this year. I hadn't really heard of them at the start of the year, but I've really gotten into them in the last few 6 months or so.
Yeah, it was that Rev Pro show that we saw them.
That was where we saw them against the Chosen Bros, who would have been one of my favourite tag teams had Matt Riddle not got signed to NXT, the team he had with Jeff Cobb. But yeah, Australian Open, Ring Camp. I want to see a match between those two, and I thought we were going to get it at MediaCon. No, it was one there. Instead, we've got Ring Camp in LAX, which I would have also loved to have seen, but we were filming with Moose.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to see it, and I was a bit gutted.
I'm busy crapping my pants that we had to do a dance routine, which is going up tomorrow. So do subscribe and enable all notifications so you know when that's live. But today, that's all we've got time for. We'll have the WOS review up later. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things. And this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon, what we were talking about earlier, to make weekly NXT reviews happen. I've been Oli Davis. That's been Luke Owen, the other one, and that was Rambling.